Stop for a second and hear this with your full attention. If you have been praying about money with fear in your chest, panic in your voice, and pressure on your mind, you may be repeating the very pattern that keeps you stuck. Most people do not fail because they never pray. They fail because they pray from a place of loss and then wonder why life keeps answering them with more loss. There is one ancient psalm people repeat when they feel cornered, tired, and desperate, but they use it in the weakest way possible. They speak it like a plea instead of a power. They speak it like they are outside the door, not like they already belong in the house. And that mistake changes everything. In this message, I am going to show you how to use that psalm in a stronger way, a clearer way, a way that shifts how you think, how you move, and how you respond to opportunity. Stay with me because the first few minutes may challenge what you have believed for years, but the end can change the way you start every morning from now on. Most people think prayer is a rescue rope you throw upward when bills pile up, work feels unstable, and your future looks blurry. They think if they sound broken enough, if they repeat the same words enough times, if they show enough pain, then heaven will suddenly release money into their life. But begging is not the same as alignment. Panic is not the same as faith. Fear does not create clear movement, it creates fog. And when your mind is full of fog, you miss ideas, you delay decisions, you talk yourself out of doors that were already half open. That is why so many people say the words, but never see change. Their mouth says they want help, but their whole inner state keeps shouting, I am trapped, I am empty, I am losing. That message shapes how they carry themselves. It shapes how they speak in meetings, how they negotiate, how they apply, how they ask, how they sell, how they think, even how they walk into a room. Listen carefully. Prayer is not only about asking. Prayer can also be about becoming. It can be the moment where you stop feeding the story of lack and start stepping into a stronger story. If that sounds uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is often the first crack where change starts to enter. Now think about the line so many people know by heart. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Most people say it like they are hoping it becomes true someday. They whisper it like a wish. They recite it like a person standing in front of an empty cupboard, asking not to feel empty anymore. But the line is stronger than that. It is not written like a weak request. It sounds like a declaration. It sounds like present reality. The Lord is my shepherd, not maybe, not later, not if things improve, is right now. Not please, make sure I do not lack. Not, I hope one day I will be okay. It is spoken from certainty. It comes from the inner position of someone who sees themselves connected to supply, guided toward provision, and held by something greater than panic. This is where many people miss the force of the psalm. They use a declaration like a cry for rescue. They take a sentence built for stability and pour anxiety into it. Then they wonder why it feels powerless. If you speak words of trust while living inside a state of constant inner begging, the words stay on the surface. But when you speak them with grounded conviction, they begin to reorganize your attention, your decisions, and your willingness to move. Think of the image itself. A shepherd does not wait for the sheep to write a desperate letter asking for grass. The shepherd leads. The provision already exists. The path already exists. The safety already exists. The role of the sheep is not to perform panic. The role is to follow direction. That changes the whole emotional tone of the psalm. You are not trying to convince the source to care. You are not trying to force the universe to notice you. You are learning to stand in the awareness that guidance and supply are available, and that your job is to align with them. This does not mean pretending your bills are not real. It does not mean acting fake or smiling at serious problems as if they are not there. It means you stop letting fear become your identity. You stop making scarcity the center of your inner voice. You can see the problem clearly without kneeling before it mentally. You can face numbers, deadlines, debt, and delay without turning them into proof that you're abandoned. Stay with this point because it matters. Real change does not begin when your account changes first. Real change often begins when your inner posture changes first. Then your actions become cleaner, your words become steadier, your judgment gets sharper, and what once looked like a dead end starts showing seams, cracks, and doors. I once saw this truth hit a man so hard it changed the whole direction of his life. He came in exhausted, buried in debt, behind on payments, and mentally worn down from trying to hold everything together. He had been working long hours, cutting costs, chasing late payments, and reciting the same psalm every day for months. He said he was doing everything right, and yet nothing was moving. So I asked him to show me exactly how he prayed. He closed his eyes, his shoulders tightened, his face collapsed, his voice shook, and he began speaking the psalm like a man begging on the edge of a cliff. Every word carried fear, every pause carried desperation. Even before he finished, the real issue was obvious. The psalm was not lifting him. He was using it to rehearse his lack. He was wrapping holy words around a broken emotional state and calling it faith. But it was not faith. It was panic wearing religious clothes. That is why so many people repeat powerful words and feel nothing. Their inner state cancels the message. Their body says one thing, their voice says another, and their actions after the prayer still come from fear. If you want different results, you cannot keep bringing the same frightened version of yourself into every spiritual practice and expect a new outcome. Something in your consciousness has to shift first. So here is the method, and I want you to catch it fully because this is where theory becomes practice. Before you say one line of the psalm, you prepare your state. You do not rush into it straight from checking your phone, reading bills, scrolling bad news, or replaying everything that scares you. You pause, you breathe, and you find one thing that is honestly good in your life right now. Just one, not 10. Start small. Maybe you woke up today with strength still in your body. Maybe someone texted you with love. Maybe you still have a roof, clean water, a working mind, a skill, a chance, a sunrise, a second try. Do not fake this part. Forced gratitude is noise. Real gratitude changes your nervous system. It softens the panic enough for clarity to return. It reminds you that lack is not the only fact in your life. And that matters because the state you enter with shapes the meaning of every word you speak next. This is not about denying pressure. It is about refusing to let pressure be the only lens through which you see your life. If you start from gratitude, even a small one, you create a crack in the wall. Light comes through that crack. Calm comes through that crack. And once calm enters, your attention stops spinning long enough to receive direction. Then you speak the psalm as a declaration, not as a plea. Your voice does not need to be loud for performance, but it should be steady, grounded, clear. Let the words land inside you as something true at the level of your deepest identity, even if your current circumstances have not caught up yet. The Lord is my shepherd. Say it as if you are already guided. I shall not want. Say it as if lack is not your final story. This may feel strange at first. Your mind may interrupt and say, but I do feel lack. I do need money. I do have problems. Of course, nobody is asking you to lie. You are not denying the facts of the moment. You're refusing to crown those facts as permanent rulers over your life. After the declaration, hold the image of yourself as a vessel under a waterfall that never runs dry. Not an empty cup shaking in fear, but a steady vessel placed where supply already flows. Let that picture sit in your mind for a few breaths. Let your chest loosen. Let your body learn the feeling of receiving without panic. This is where many people click out mentally, but do not click out here. This is one of the most important parts. If your inner image is always collapse, your outer behavior will often follow. But if your inner image becomes connection, flow, and steadiness, your behavior begins to change in ways that open real doors. And then comes the part most people skip: action, real action, one move after the prayer, not 10 moves, one move. Because a new inner state without movement becomes fantasy, and movement without a new inner state usually turns back into stress. The power is in the combination. You pray, you align, and then you move. Send the email you have been avoiding. Make the call. Update the resume. Ask for the meeting. Apply for the contract. Learn the skill. Cut the expense. Organize the debt. Review the numbers, pitch the idea, offer the service. This is not about dramatic gestures. Small, faithful movement is enough. There is an old story of people trapped between danger behind them and impossible water ahead. The breakthrough did not come while everyone stood, frozen, talking about fear. The breakthrough came when someone stepped forward into the water first. That is the pattern. Movement signals trust. Movement breaks paralysis. Movement tells your mind, I am no longer just reacting, I am participating. And once you do that, the prayer stops being a beautiful speech and starts becoming a living rhythm. This is where your confidence begins to rebuild, not from pretending everything is fixed, but from proving to yourself every day that fear will not be the only force deciding what you do next. Watch this closely, because the people who change are usually not the ones with perfect conditions. They are the ones who learn how to move before conditions feel perfect. The man I mentioned earlier committed to practicing this every morning before looking at his phone, before checking his messages, and before giving panic the first word of the day. At first, nothing outside changed. That is important to say. The sky did not split open. No miracle payment landed on day one. But inside, something began to loosen. His breathing was calmer. His thoughts stopped racing as hard. He could look at his business without immediately spiraling into dread. That alone was a major shift, because when your mind is no longer drowning in panic, it starts to notice what fear had hidden from you. In the first month, an old payment he had nearly forgotten about finally came through. Then he reached out to someone he would normally have avoided because he felt ashamed of his situation. And that conversation reopened a business path he thought was dead. A little later, he attended an event he would have skipped in his old mindset. He showed up differently, not needy, not collapsed, not trying to squeeze rescue out of strangers. He showed up with value, with presence, with the quiet energy of someone who believed he still had something meaningful to offer. People respond to that. Opportunities respond to that. This was not magic. It was not money falling from the sky. It was a man no longer sabotaging every doorway with the energy of fear. And once that changed, results began to follow one practical step at a time. By the next stretch of months, the external changes became more visible. He finally sat down and faced the numbers he'd been avoiding. But this time, he did it with a clear mind instead of a collapsing one. He negotiated lower rates. He made calls he had postponed for too long. He set a payment structure that was not perfect, but real. He opened a savings account, even with a small amount, because he was no longer acting like someone whose whole future had already ended. His business began to recover, not because the psalm was some magic formula, but because his daily practice had changed the way he thought, the way he carried himself, and the way he responded to pressure. This is the part people often misunderstand. They want a ritual that removes effort. But the deeper gift of a strong ritual is that it changes the person doing the effort. It replaces panic with order. It replaces shame with movement. It replaces mental chaos with direction. And once that happens, your choices improve, your conversations improve, your timing improves, your courage improves, even your ability to spot waste, delay, and hidden opportunity gets stronger. In other words, the prayer helps reshape the person who is living the problem. And when the person changes, the pattern can start changing too. If you are still here, good, because now we get to the part that makes this practice even stronger. There is a companion practice that deepens this whole process, and many people resist it at first because it sounds upside down. The practice is giving, even a small amount, even when you feel stretched, not recklessly, not foolishly, not in a way that harms your basic responsibilities, but intentionally. Because if you say, "I shall not want," while gripping every coin with fear, your actions are arguing with your words. When you give something small with sincerity, you interrupt the tight fist of scarcity. You make a statement to your own nervous system. I am not only trying to survive, I am still capable of overflow. That shift matters. The amount is not the center. The spirit is. A small gift given with faith can train your heart better than a large gift given for show. It might be a few dollars to someone in need. It might be a regular act of charity. It might be buying a meal, supporting a cause, helping quietly, offering something useful. The point is that giving creates space inside you. It loosens the grip of fear. It reminds you that money is meant to move, not only to be worshipped and clutched. And once you pair that giving with the declaration of the psalm and one clear action step, you create a strong daily pattern. Gratitude opens you, declaration steadies you, giving expands you, and action moves you forward. A woman once tried this when she was raising children alone and barely keeping up with rent, groceries, and basic bills. When she first heard about giving while already under pressure, she thought it sounded almost impossible. How do you give when you feel like you are already behind? That question is real. But she agreed to start small, very small, a modest weekly gift to a local cause she truly believed in, not because she had extra money falling out of her pockets, but because she wanted to stop training herself to live with a permanently closed hand. She paired that with the same morning rhythm, real gratitude, strong declaration, clear visualization, one practical step. Some mornings, the practical step was updating her resume. Some mornings, it was learning a free skill online. Some mornings, it was sending one application, making one inquiry, or correcting one money habit she had ignored before. What changed first was not her salary. It was her relationship with fear. She stopped speaking about money like it was an enemy hunting her every day. She started speaking about money as a tool, a flow, a responsibility, and a possibility. That shift changed how she interviewed. It changed how she presented herself. It changed how she handled setbacks. And in time, it changed her income too. Again, not by fantasy, not by denial, by inner order, creating better outer decisions, again and again, until a different life started to form. Now let me say something clearly, because this part matters. None of this means hard situations are fake. None of this means injustice is not real, or that every struggle can be solved by a better attitude alone. There are real barriers in the world. There is unfairness. There is pressure people did not choose. But even in the middle of all that, consciousness still matters because it shapes the one territory you can begin to work with immediately, your inner position. Your thoughts affect your emotions. Your emotions affect your choices. Your choices affect your direction. And your direction, repeated long enough, affects results. So no, this is not about blaming people for pain. It is about refusing to let pain write the whole future. If your current inner language is always, "Nothing works for me, I always lose, I never have enough, life is against me," then even when a good door appears, you may distrust it, delay it, talk yourself out of it, or walk into it with so much fear that you weaken your own opportunity. But if your inner language becomes steadier, wiser, and more connected, you begin showing up with a different quality of energy. That alone can change more than people think. Stay with me here. This is not hype. This is daily formation. It is a practice of becoming less ruled by reaction and more ruled by intention. So if you want to use this in a way that is strong and practical, start tomorrow morning before the world gets the first bite of your attention. Do not hand your mind to notifications before you hand your spirit to focus. Sit up, breathe slowly, find one honest reason for gratitude. Speak the psalm as a declaration, not a desperate request. Let your voice sound like someone who is reconnecting with direction. Hold the image of yourself under a flow that does not run dry. Then move. One action, one real action. Write it down if you have to. Make it simple enough that you cannot hide from it. If you want, pair it with a small act of giving on a daily or weekly rhythm. Then watch more than your wallet. Watch your mind. Watch how quickly panic rises. Watch how long it stays. Watch whether your posture changes. Watch whether you begin noticing ideas, people, and chances that you used to miss. Those early signs matter. They are often the first proof that the practice is working inside you before it shows itself outside you. And do not do this for 2 days and quit. Give it real time. Give it repetition. Let the pattern build strength. Fast results are exciting, but deep results usually come from consistency. I want to leave you with this. You are not meant to live your whole life speaking to abundance as if it belongs to somebody else. You are not meant to stand at the edge of your own future, rehearsing fear every morning and calling that wisdom. You are not meant to mistake begging for faith or panic for seriousness. There is a stronger way to begin the day, a steadier way to carry your mind, a cleaner way to walk toward provision. This ancient psalm can become more than words you repeat in hard moments. It can become a daily reset for your inner world. It can remind you that guidance is available, that scarcity does not have to become your identity, and that movement still matters even when you feel uncertain. So make the commitment, not halfway, not casually. Give it your full 30 days. Speak with conviction. Give with sincerity. Act with courage. And if you feel resistance, that is often the sign that an old pattern is being challenged. Keep going. In the next message, I will take this even deeper and show you how rest, rhythm, and discipline can multiply what constant stress never could. Until then, remember this simple truth. You do not rise by repeating fear more beautifully. You rise when your inner state, your words, and your actions begin pulling in the same direction.